Welcome to Agranak Studios. I'm DM Wisdom. Today we're going to take a look at my campaign world that I'm developing called Samhain. And maybe along the way, you can pick up some tips and tricks for yourself. Let's check it out.
Hey there, it's DM Zoth. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you know when we upload new videos. Alright, so you're finally doing it.
Yes, I am. I am creating, actually putting in book form, a campaign setting that I've been working on for quite some time. And there's a lot of development that's still going on.
What's the main thing you're working on right now?
Right now, I'm working on the map.
Awesome.
I've had different iterations of the map of the area. And just to give you a little bit of context, in 2023, we were playing a lot of D&D, as many of you probably were. During about the Halloween time, I really wanted to do something that broke off, that was still part of the story that we were doing, but was actually doing something very low level and in a small little area that I deemed the Samhain campaign. And I'll bring up the working logo right now.
Wait a second, that says Samhain.
No, that's what it looks like phonetically, but it's actually a Gaelic word that is pronounced Samhain.
Okay, cool.
So I had the Samhain campaign that we were doing, and it was very Halloween themed. Everything that I was putting into this land had this sort of Halloween vibe. And it's such a part of me, Halloween and the things that go along with Halloween, that I wanted to create a campaign setting that others could enjoy, but also for myself. So this is really like a selfish project so that I can have my own reference book in the end, but others, as you may like what I'm doing, could pick it up.
All right, cool. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah. When I first had this idea, I had created this map of the surrounding area, and I used Wonderdraft for this.
This is set inside your homebrew world of Tarna, right?
Yeah, in the kingdom of Kell. So it's got a Gaelic vibe to it, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, and all of that, which is consequently a lot of my heritage. So I made this map kind of riffing off of some other Wonderdraft maps that I'd seen, threw in some villages and towns, etc., and set like a little capital city down here inside this bay.
All right, I really like the vibe. You got towns called Corpsewood, Deadwater, Ravengrave, Red Witch, Lake Pentacle, the Pumpkin Meadow.
Yeah, so it's got that overtone of, Halloween going on, dark, horror-centric sort of things, and still some lighter things as well.
Awesome.
So as I'm approaching this book, I'm taking notes from the Dolmenwood campaign setting, and the idea that it's actually a smaller area that you're adventuring in, but everything's fleshed out. I don't know if I'm going to go that intense where I flesh out every hex, but I like the idea of kind of being able to take a campaign setting and pick it up and plop it into someone else's homeworld if they want it. So I've been working on this new map, and it's called, and I've actually formatted so that it goes into the size book that I'm dealing with.
Oh, that's cool. You got like a pentagram right there in the center, huh?
Yeah, and where the different lines intersect are villages throughout the area. This is called the Samhain Vale, basically the Valley of Samhain. I've taken a lot of these elements from my original map, and this is the evolution that is happening, is that I've taken a lot of those names and things. You can see Corpsewood, Ravengrave, Deadwater, and even like this area here called the Doulahan Wilds.
What's a Doulahan?
A headless horseman, like you know from Sleepy Hollow.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that has its origins in Gaelic things, in Irish and Scottish mythology. And they're the ones, consequently, that brought it over the pond to America, and then the Americans just took it and ran with it. You can see these different towns here. Ravengrave, I've got Deadwater is still here, and even there's a name, Rowan, Lake Pentacle. Right here, I've turned this whole area, and the idea of this was to keep it confined into a little area like I was talking about before. And so it's got kind of this claustrophobic feeling to it, where you've got two mountain ranges on either side, Shadow Mountains and the Silver Mountains, an ode to Ronnie James Dio. The Pumpkin Meadowlands up here that close off the north, and Hedgewood, which closes off the south. And there are swamplands like here near this village of Deadwater. It's surrounded by a swamp. And up here, the town of Cauldron is also surrounded by a swamp. There's other elements that I've taken from my childhood, and you should do this within your own campaign world. But I used to go ride motorcycles at a place called Bell Mountain, so I put that right here. Kind of an ode not only to the Lonely Mountain, but when I was riding motorcycles, there was just this bell-shaped mountain that we would ride around. And so I put that here, Bell Mountains. Shadow Mountains was actually a place that I used to ride dirt bikes at as well, but also it played into our story that we were developing during the campaign, that one of the characters was born out of the plane of Shadow, and that the mountains there that were next to Ravengrave, which was the main town that everybody went to, were nestled up against the Shadow Mountains.
Very cool. So you're taking elements not only from the story, but also from real life, and putting in Halloween themes everywhere.
Yeah, there's 13 settlements here, and I'll just go through them. Pumpkin Town, Cauldron, one to be named, Coven Hollow, Rowan, Ravengrave, Red Witch, Barrowhaven, Bridge Hollow, West Wend, another one to be named, Dither, and Deadwater.
And then it looks like there's other things that you brought over, obviously, like the different forests, like the Pumpkin Meadowlands, Doulahan Wilds, Corpsewood. Wasn't Corpsewood a town?
Yeah, as I was bringing it over, I was like, Corpsewood is a town, but it just kind of seemed better in my mind as a forested area, as I'm looking for other forests to put in this land.
Very cool.
So as I was writing up the book, and you can see this is my working cover right now for the Samhain campaign book. I had this map in here, working map, as you can see, place for credits and whatnot. And here's one of the towns. This is Ravengrave, which I had fleshed out for the campaign 3 years ago. And you can see where a lot of the characters were stomping around.
Awesome. Wasn't this made with Incarnate?
Yeah, it was. And I like the styling, but I'll probably hand draw this or have someone else hand draw it. For the actual product, but this is the working map right now.
Oh, and you've got some tables that you've got here.
Yeah, so one of my favorite sort of tables is I loot the body. So I have a D66 table here, and everything from an unsigned suicide note, which is number 18, to a dowsing rod, and also a caramel-covered apple.
So everything from whimsical and cute to kind of depressing and dreary.
Yes. And some names right here, as well as superstition generator that I haven't finished off. And if you've been cursed, here's a D20. So like cursed with self-mutilation or your hair falls out, so on and so forth.
Isn't that something you deal with, hair falling out?
Yeah, I'm not the most hairy guy. So here's one of the issues here, is that I'm writing out the features and everything, and I just kind of got stuck where I couldn't go anywhere else because I didn't feel like I had a grasp on the land, because I knew that I wanted to redo the map, but I didn't have that map, so that's why I drew up the new map, so that as I'm writing up things about the areas, I can reference the map.
So you're doing this whole map first thing.
Yeah, I've got an overarching view of what everything is that's surrounding and what I want, and some folklore and different points of interest, but I needed to know exactly where things were at. So that's why, for me, this map is so ridiculously important.
So now you can say, if you're talking about Ravengrave right here, that it's nestled up against the Shadow Mountains. It's 6, 7, 8, probably 9 miles away from the Briarwood Thicket, which is off to the east, and the Corpse Wood, which is down to the south.
And I can give also other descriptors like it's, what is this? 6, 12, 18, 24 plus miles away from Bridge Hollow. Probably about the same to West Wind. About that to this unnamed settlement. And probably about 36 miles or so to Pumpkin Town, which there's a major festival here that I will be writing about.
All right, so I think what you're saying here is that maybe you should start with a map.
For me, that's something that really is the most important, is starting with the map. So this was a major hurdle, and it'll probably change as I'm developing everything else that's going on with it.
Ah, very good. This layout may be different by the time we get to the actual book.
Yeah, it may even be different as we get even deeper into writing the lore and all that stuff.
All right, very cool.
Well, I hope this was beneficial to you. If you would like to follow what I'm doing with the Samhain campaign, you can become a patron. There's a link down in the dungeon. If you're part of the Banshee tier or above, you can download things as I'm putting them out, such as the map and also updated PDFs of the campaign book.
All right, everyone. Thanks for stopping by Agranak Studios. We'll see you on the next one.
Later. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our patrons. Consider becoming a patron. There's a link down in the dungeon. Down there. Also, we have links to other places that Agranak Studios is at.
All right, do this and do that and do this and do that. And watch this video.